Hi everyone, it's Alicia and welcome back to my channel. And it's Friday, officially actually, and you can tell by me wearing the Straight Outta Brooklyn t-shirt that I filmed this on Thursday evening, and that's because I anticipate Friday might be super duper busy and I may not have a chance to give this the attention that it deserves. So you folks know I've been working on my swap for Sabrina for the last several weeks, and it's my first time doing anything shabby. So this has been a labor of love and a whole lot of firsts. First time I've ever distressed anything for a project. First time I've ever attempted to use stickles of all different varieties and iterations. First time I've made anything shabby at all, actually, or anything of that ilk. So it's been a real joy. And I learned that there's all different types of shabby. There is like shabby chic. There's like shabby with like a lot of bling. There's shabby that's more country and barny-like. There's shabby. There's shabby. So I did a lot of investigating and then a lot of prototyping and a lot of making mistakes. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek tonight of some of the items that I created or I'm almost finished creating for Sabrina, because tomorrow, folks, it's all getting packaged up. And I don't know about you, but I am a slow packager. It takes me almost as long to package as it does to make. Thankfully, I'm getting better at it, but it is slow. And once it goes in the packaging, it's not coming out, especially not for this particular swap. But I want to tell you, this really was a labor of love. So let me show you a little bit about what I was making for Sabrina the last few weeks. So, as I said, there's lots of different kinds of shabby. Her favorite colors are a mint green and pink in combination, and I tried to honor that in many different ways. But she's also super artistic, so she really didn't care and gave me free reign to go wherever I took this. So you can see here what I did was on top of Prima paper, and I don't know if you can actually capture this on the camera, but this is super layered. So there's lovely Prima paper, and then I hand dye, on my die cutter, I cut a doily out of a different type of Prima paper. Then I layered a gold doily that I cut out with a different die cut on top of that. Put this like really ornate Hobby Lobby trim on top. Put a three-dimensional flower on top of that, propped up on a foam bit. Down here, I covered the tickets, and they were the ones that I got at Joann on those sheets, and then I fussy cut them out, and then I covered them in triple thick so they'd be better quality. And this little brad I really like. It's like a vintagey brad. It's more subtle and it has like tiny little rhinestones around it, and that kind of puts the whole thing together. So that's one pocket. And so we didn't agree to do a pocket letter. We agreed to do a hoop swap, a loaded hoop swap. But you guys know I can't do anything without doing a book of some sort. So this is another one. So you can see the difference, right? I'm trying to capture all the different kinds of shabby, and believe it or not, they all do work together really nicely when they're together in the book. They really do. It looks lovely. Okay, so this is on barnyard paper. That barnyard paper, the same one that I made the flowers out of for her. And I'm actually going to add a sentiment down here. This is an old photograph layered on top. This is a vintage ticket. This one, I believe, might be from the Tim Holtz, or it could be I ordered 2 packages of vintage pieces, actual vintage pieces from life, and I actually worked those into this whole thing. And then I have, this is definitely Tim Holtz up top, and thanks to Carmen, there's glittery accents on all the flowers. And thanks to Joann, there's triple thick on the leaves, and that's why it shimmers and sparkles like it does. So that's a hint, a little bit of what the pocket letter or pocketbook might look like. Let me show you now one of my favorite pieces of ephemera that I created for this. So I love this one. I'm hanging it on the Tim Holtz display hanger, which I'm really a fan of, and this I'm in love with. So I'm going to add a little bit of lace on top because this looks a little bare with just one little flower, and maybe I'm going to add a couple of little roses. But I love this display. I'm likely going to add Sabrina's name right here in script, and this was a labor of love. So this is a paper shredded. There's a collage piece in the back. I have some of my drawing in the back. Also barnyard paper shredded behind that. Then I have one of these sort of found relatives from Tim Holtz that I stole. And then this gets complicated, folks. Let me touch it carefully. So here we have like those pieces that are actually connected by this chain. And here I'm dangling off a little pearl from that. And here we have a flower. There's a whole bunch of tickets and other things behind there. I have an old-fashioned upright typewriter propped up on a foam bit. And a couple of pearls in the spot. and a really nice flower that I, of course, triple thicked, and this sort of vintagey flower that I did not triple thick because I didn't like the way those look triple thicked. And you're going to say, why flower and flower? Doesn't that ruin the dimension? No. What I actually teach at university is that when we read anything or we look at anything visually, we do it in a Z or a Z pattern. So I actually needed this to anchor the whole image. So that was very deliberately done. So almost done, needs a little bit of a few more little pieces, but this I'm really pleased with. And this is sort of a collaged homemade ephemera that I'm really happy with. All right, so that's one piece. The next one I'm going to show you is just a really simple bookmark. And this I made because, not that lots of people read, but she's actually part of a Christian Bibling group of some kind. So I thought, well, maybe she reads the Bible then, and she might need a bookmark. I mean, I never asked her if she actually reads the Bible, but I assume she may. So lots of pink here. Look at that with that cute little enamel. And this I love because this has kind of got her sassiness, and I think that's what I was trying to capture with this. So it says liberated up top, and then you have this like really stern looking like vintage lady, and then down below it says good things are going to happen. In other words, she is very much her own person, which is one of the things I love about Sabrina. And she does, she is nobody's fool. She speaks her mind. And this just spoke to me, so I had to make this for her. You can see the vintage paper in the back. That's actually Maggie Holmes, which may surprise you, because look how vintage it looks now, right? But it's amazing. This worked so well. And then I also shredded a piece of collage in the back, partially from an old book, and then I drew over it, which I really love. So I love when I make my own ephemera, but it takes a long time, and it works so well with this. And then just two small flowers that I did. It's 1 o'clock. Oh, there's that weird voice again, third person in the room. And I was a little worried about adding this modern piece down below. I was worried it wouldn't go aesthetically, but in the end it actually worked. And then just a few little well-placed stickles. And that's it, folks. Really simple, but really an interesting piece. All right, on to the next one is, this is not quite yet finished. This is close, but it's not quite there. It needs a little bit of work. I'm into these like super layered stories, right? So I like everything to tell a really interesting narrative. So for this, I layered upon layered upon layered because I'm trying to tell a certain kind of story. And for me, this one's really important. So hello is dyed. It came partially dyed. I dyed it some more of the wood. What you can't see on this poor camera quality is that I also accented it with gold in certain places. You have a group of young children here. Check out their expressions. Really interesting expressions chosen on purpose. This little boy looks like he needs to go pee. And I thought that was really funny because it's something Sabrina said a few weeks ago. And here's Alicia learning to use stickles for the first time because that was an open area. Didn't love the way it looked. It was unbalanced, so I added them there, and now I like it. Small postage stamp with underneath an actual old vintage postage stamp, which is cool. In here, hiding in here is a little cameo, a little flower. This is a Tim Holtz, one of those weirdo voodoo looking dolls, but I loved it on this. I don't know, it looks creepy on its own, loved it on here. And then behind that are those old ads, from like the 50s or even before that, I don't even know, 30s. I just loved it. And I know that you had covered most of it, but she's just peekabooing out, and I love that. And and then of course there's a camera with some spray. I think I might add a little piece here because the gold iridescence that I used isn't quite enough to make it sparkle. And then here I'm using one of those really old vintage brads that I got from the Hobby Lobby sale. See, I can't believe I missed those, but I guess because I don't do shabby, I really did. So that's the front. And then I'm as obsessed with the back. So this is what's going on at the back so far. And I'm happy with it, but I'm not sure it's done, right? Like this needs something here. But it's getting there, folks. It's getting there. And then the next two pieces I'm going to show you are works in progress. So you remember when I started with this, it was just wood. And I don't know that you can see that much difference now. I had a good laugh at myself, folks, because, I used really good quality paint, and that's where I made a mistake, because actually my husband went to get it, which was very kind of him, because you all know how he hates to go to the Hobby Lobby. But he went, and because we couldn't find my other paint. Okay, so do you see what's going on here? So I have layered underneath here a beautiful copper and a beautiful mint green and a teal. And the reason is I really wanted to get what's going on here. I just wanted the colors to faintly show through because I'm going to put an image here. And so it worked on here, but I had to do a whole lot of sanding, more sanding than I should have had to do, and that's because the paint I used on the top coat was better quality than I should have chosen. But that said, in person, it's lovely. So I'm happy with the way this one turned out. Believe me, folks, there are ones that did not turn out, and we can talk about that. I did not want it overly distressed, but I did want it to go with something else that I'm not going to show you that has this lovely mint green in it, and so this was the coordinating piece. All right, and then the last thing I'm going to show you is something I'm still not happy with. So you know I make pinwheels. I make all different kinds of pinwheels, and so I tried all different iterations for her. And this one is a gilded pinwheel out of old book paper. And at first what I did was I just distressed the edges. But you know, folks, what I should have done is what I did. Remember that first booklet I did for Vicky? I tea stained every single piece of that paper before I distressed it or did anything. And I think I made a mistake not doing that with these. The book paper is cool. I love the brad. I like the iridescence. I think the pinwheel's cool. But I do think it could have been a lot better. Had I tea stained it, I would have liked this a lot better. So for future reference, there's something to think about. But they're not all book paper. Because of her love of mint green, I did a whole series that were in more of that iteration. But I wanted to show you the one where there was a bit of a flaw, I think. A design flaw. Okay, and then just one little goodie I'll give you a sneak peek at. So again, because she's a big fan of mint green, I found this at the Hobby Lobby sale, which I thought was super exciting, and I thought it was great because it very much represents her aesthetic. And what I loved is that, look at the size of this, folks. This is perfect for her to store all of the cards she gets from people that are sent to her, because she gets quite a bit of cards. She gets quite a bit of Happy Mail. So I was thinking, where does she put all that? Well, you know I'm obsessed with storage right now because I didn't have any until today, and we still have to put all that stuff away. So I've been thinking about storage a lot lately, and I was thinking this is perfect, and this is very much her aesthetic. I'm not going to alter it. I was going to add her name to it, but I've altered so many other things that I think I'll leave this plain and let her decide what to do with it. But that's one of the goodies. So I'm not going to show you much more just because I'm going to wait and see what she does. It's up to her if she wants to share her box or she doesn't want to. You know, she tends to show her Happy Mail online, but, you know, it is up to her whether or not she chooses to do that. But this was first of all a project of firsts, as I said. I learned how to do so many things I didn't know how to do, and it was a labor of love. Doing this for her has been so joyful, and even all the things that didn't work, and I sort of laughed at myself, I was like, this is so much fun. And she's great for giving me the room to try all these things and not being super weird judgy. I feel like I can send it to her and she won't be like, Lord, what was she thinking? And that's wonderful. And that's what this is all about. So thank you, Sabrina, not only for giving me a chance to learn everything, but also for being just a wonderful friend and really encouraging and super sweet. All right, folks. That's it. Happy Friday to you. I hope you have a great Friday. It's the start of hopefully a lovely weekend for each and every one of us. And I hope you're making lots of interesting things. Bye for now.